New information. This tornado warning has been updated.
I think we're good to go. Sorry about the delay getting on this evening. Hey, Henry, how's it going? Yeah, I don't know exactly where you are, but they have trimmed some of this tornado.
Information. This severe, considerable, destructive thunderstorm warning has been updated.
We're going to get a bunch of updates from the alert program, but yeah, they have changed some of the tornado watch. I believe they trimmed off this area up in here near Bismarck. So if you're in that northwest area of the tornado watch originally, covered a bunch of these counties here in central North Dakota, you guys are canceled from that tornado watch. It still covers areas like Jamestown, down towards Ellendale, and then down into central parts of South Dakota around Pierre and Highmore and Miller. And right now it goes for another 2 hours or so. I wouldn't be surprised if we get some watch extensions on the eastern end of this range. And we just had, as I was kind of working on some stream stuff on the back end, we just had a brief tornado out of this cell here near Veblen. Hopefully I'm saying that right, Veblen. If I back it up just a few minutes here, there was a brief tight little couplet right on the South Dakota, North Dakota state line here. And it was a brief tight little couplet. And when I go over to the CC drop, you can really see it here. Just a couple scans. There's a good look at it. Nothing in here between Newark and Havana, just on this scan. And then the next scan, you can see that small CC drop in here. And that has extended out and actually kind of blew up even a little bit bigger there for a brief little bit. And now it's kind of dissipated. Actually, you can see the debris that's in the cloud is still likely in here. It's kind of just huddling out kind of in here. So there is still some circulation as well as debris being lofted. And then just on the last scan or two, as we were just about to go live, looks like we'd have a intensifying area of rotation just to the north. This is an area that's not tornado warned right now here in it's in North Dakota, near Rutland, North Dakota. And wouldn't be surprised if this gets a tornado warning here in the next minute or two. This is going to be for, trying to get a county name on here. Well, areas around Lisbon, Enderlin, Gwinner, Milner, Lingerwood, Foreman, and Windmere. I would start to get in my tornado safe space. And there it goes. Rightly so, tornado warning here. Okay, so southwestern Richland and east central Sargent counties here in southeastern North Dakota. And once again, just within the last 5 or 10 minutes here, this has really accelerated an area of rotation here. It's going to be just south and east of Foreman, moving towards Lingerwood, towards Windermere. So if you're in that area there, south of Milner, that is the newest tornado warning here of the evening. We've had a couple tornado warnings today. It's only been in the last 15 to 20 minutes where the tornado warnings have really started to show some localized areas of rotation. And like that other one just to the south, I wouldn't be surprised if this is really close to producing a tornado here.
A new radar
we can see
tornado warning
some
has been issued.
Pretty strong signatures here for rotation. These are going to be winds going towards the radar in the brighter greens, and then some really bright reds going away from the radar. They're actually showing up here on our velocity signature as orange and yellow. And if I scope this a little bit, it's going to be like 30 miles an hour, 31 in the inbound, and 60. So like a 90 mile an hour gate to gate. That's pretty good rotation. We're decently close to the radar site too. So this is a decently low level look at this area of rotation. Up here, we do have some cameras in South Dakota and North Dakota, but then we also can have our quad radar set up. So scoping this up a little bit, let's take a look here. And you can really see these two cells develop here on our quad camera, or our quad radar. It's coming towards Cayuga, Lingerwood, the Wild Rice Wildlife Refuge, and areas here along Highway 11. It's North Dakota Highway 11. If you live out here between Lingerwood and Rutland, you need to be in your tornado safe space, your lowest level interior room, away from those doors and windows, and put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. If you have that basement, storm shelter, cellar, that's below ground. That's a better option. Those split levels have kind of that semi below ground area too. So that's always a good option. If you don't, it's okay. Just get to that lowest level and make sure you're in that interior room. It's usually a bathroom or a hall closet. If it's a bathroom, you can take some pillows in there, protect yourself in the tub, get in that tub and put a blanket and pillows over you. And that's always a good, a decently safe option in this kind of situation. Updated. We have kind of basically a developing mesoscale convective system here. If I pan out, you can see kind of the swirl developing here along 94 near Valley City, kind of between Valley City and Fargo. So yeah, we have a little bit of an MCS developing here with a mesoscale low, and then trailing that is going to be your heaviest area here of wind, potentially some hail, and then also the tornado threat. That extends back with some developing cells into northern parts of South Dakota. This cell has, I think, had a tornado at times too, back about, probably about 15 minutes ago now. It had a pretty tight little couplet on it here, just south of State Highway 10. That's in South Dakota. Let's see, it looks like it's about south and west of Leola. That's where we had a pretty tight couplet at times. And if I back it up, there was a CC lowering on that one, right when the couplet was the tightest there. So I think we had a brief spin up right there as well. That would be about, let me get the mileage and mark it down. About 5 miles southwest of Leola, South Dakota. And that was the radar scan out of
a new 7:55 warning has been issued.
Local time there. So, but yeah, about 20 minutes ago, that only showed up really in maybe 1.5 scans. Just before that, a little bit of CC lowering there too. That was at the 1252 scan. So that area has broadened out a little bit. So that's good. There still is actually a new tighter area in here. This one has had kind of a broad meso at times, and it has come close to, I think, dropping a couple other tornadoes. If it hasn't, we may just not have seen it on the correlation coefficient to radar confirm those. But yeah, you can see here, just as we were talking, a new kind of area has spun up in this kind of broad swirling meso. Yeah, there it is right there. It's now south and east of Leola, and that is going to be approaching areas east of Highway 45, south of Highway 10 in South Dakota, coming towards the Grassland Hutterite community, Long Lake Hutterite colony, and Wetonka. So areas around Wetonka, South Dakota, I would start to get to my tornado safe space there and start to get my tornado action plan in place here as that area of rotation works to the south and east. 20 to maybe 30 miles an hour. I think it's probably moving a little bit faster. So to let's take it about 25, and that would bring it into Wetonka. Center up my screen here. Wetonka in about 16 minutes. So areas here around Wetonka, South Dakota, you have about 15 minutes to get to that tornado safe space coming in from that northwest side of town. We have some other areas that show some broad rotation, so we'll keep an eye on those. Let's go back up here to our eastern parts of South Dakota and North Dakota, right here on the state line. This area on the southern flank near Hypa seems to have broadened out and is mostly a damaging wind threat at the moment. It's definitely being affected by the stronger cell to its north. And then again, within here, we have a radar indicated tornado warning. This was for Sargent and Richland counties in southeast North Dakota. And this has broadened out a little bit too, so that's one good sign there. As we've seen though, these can tighten back up and produce tornadoes very quickly within that radar scan there. So let's see. I wanted to see if we can catch this again and just see if there was anything in here at about 8:08. That's when it looked like it was the tightest and the strongest area of rotation. There are some CC lowerings in there, but it's hard to tell exactly what was going on in that area. There's the 808 scan. So there may have been something in there. It's not a very clear CC lowering like we had earlier on the other area south of Havana. There's that CC lowering from a few minutes ago as well. Yeah, that was much clearer CC lowering for that tornado warned storm. There could be something in here. There is still a CC lowering a little bit in here. It's a little fuzzy though. So it could also be some higher end hail and precip in this part of the storm. Yeah, it's going to be, this one's going to be wrapped up in rain either way. This is some pretty heavy rain. There doesn't seem to be a lot of hail, so this could potentially be something kind of spun up in here too. So I wouldn't be surprised if it is. It's just not fully able to confirm that one. And the good news is here in the last couple scans, it has broadened a little bit. So some good signs there. If you're just joining us, we got a tornado watch for another hour and 42 minutes in parts of eastern North Dakota, and then eastern and central parts of South Dakota. We have right now currently 3 tornado warned storms. We also have a number of severe thunderstorm warnings, 5 of those, and 2 are considerable. Edmonds and Walworth counties, and then Edmonds and McPherson counties in South Dakota. Those are all considerable threats for 60-mile-an-hour winds and golf ball size hail and additional tornado possible. That's going to be that cell behind our lead tornado warned storm in this complex. Right now, I'm not seeing a lot of really strong indicators of a tornado in that part of that cell. But again, we could see some larger hail in those purple cores. There's actually a couple kind of purple cores in here. Actually, the cell behind it is going up pretty quickly too, with some potential for hail core in there. So where we see those higher end areas of the reflectivity, that's going to be your hail core. This one also destructive baseball size hail and 60-mile-an-hour winds. This is south of Bodle in South Dakota. Not showing a ton of rotation right now. So we're looking at radar out of Aberdeen. There is a little bit on this southern flank, but that is pretty much expected. With a large hailstorm, you're going to have a strong meso, and to have a strong mesocyclone, you're going to have a little bit of rotation in that. But that one does not seem to be tornadic, at least imminently. That is just a big boy hailstorm north of Hoven, south of Bodle. And if you live out here south of Roscoe along Highway 12 or west of Highway 45, you need to think about a safe and sturdy structure to ride out potentially a very significant hailstorm.
New information. This severe thunderstorm warning has been updated.
Let's take a look at this cell. This is that tornado warned storm here. We have still an area rotation showing up along 119th Street. Not seeing a CC drop with that one, but that could produce a tornado at really any time here. It's a pretty tight little couplet. And again, that's moving to the south and east towards the Long Lake Hutterite community, the Grassland Hutterite community, and Watonka, South Dakota. So if you're anywhere in that area, I would start to get my tornado safe space.
This severe destructive thunderstorm.
They are noting that this area does have a tornado possible tag in addition to ping pong ball size hail. So they are warning this out ahead in advance. And then just backing out a little bit, these are generally working towards the Aberdeen, South Dakota metro. So a much larger community there, a city here in South Dakota. And that's a pretty populated area here in South Dakota. So those are generally moving to the east-southeast towards Aberdeen. So if you have plans there this evening, definitely take any warnings seriously. Let me see what they're moving these storms at. Oh, only about 15 to 20 miles an hour. Yeah, okay, so it's going to take a while to get to Aberdeen. About an hour and a half, it looks like, with maybe slightly closer if I go from this kind of leading edge here. See if that changed anything. About 70 minutes, so it sped it up just a little bit. When I had it back here, it kind of took the average of this whole swath. So when I put it a little more focused on this leading edge, about 70 minutes to Aberdeen. and they are going to extend the severe thunderstorm warning here for that baseball-sized destructive severe thunderstorm warning. That is for areas around Hoven, and that's Edmonds, Falk, Potter, and Walworth counties in central South Dakota, only at 15 miles an hour. That is a trained spotter report for baseball-sized hail. So that's a dangerous storm. The fact that it's also moving very slowly to about 15 miles an hour is not great either. It means once you're under the hail core, you're going to be in that hail core for quite a while. So that's going to do some damage. I would treat that, if I was out in this area between Hoven and these counties out here, I would treat that similar to a tornado warning. You definitely want to be in a sturdy structure. That can shred mobile homes apart. So you want to take that very seriously, that destructive severe thunderstorm. Hey, Mountain Dew, how's it going? Thanks. Well, we're pretty new. If you haven't already, your name sounds familiar, so maybe you already are, but if you haven't already, like and subscribe and click the bell icon, because that certainly helps. This one still has a little rotation at just north of Hypa, so still watching that storm. That had the tornado that we were able to radar confirm a little bit ago, and I'm not seeing a ton of CC drop in that, so I don't think it's on the ground at the moment.
Storm warning has been issued.
But we'll keep an eye on those. That's the update for that destructive severe thunderstorm warning we just looked at. And then good news up here near Rutland, this cell has broadened a little bit. So still seeing some rotation in here, so definitely stay in your safe place between Rutland, Lingerwood, something like that, and then Windmere. We probably just lost any fans from this town that I was unable to pronounce. So sorry about that. This still also, besides the broadening area of rotation, does have some pretty good wind in it. So this is going to be a wind threat to cross this whole warning area, potentially some 60 plus mile an hour winds. I want to look here because we do have some other areas of rotation. I do want to just kind of scan a little bit wider. Some broad rotation over there, but that is east of Lisbon and not doing that much. And then back up here towards our northern areas here. A lot of rain and heavy thunderstorms coming into the Fargo area. This is where we have our little mesoscale low with some broad rotation in it. Those typically don't produce a lot of tornadic activity themselves, but they can enhance some areas around them. There is one kind of enhanced right here on the southeast side of that. So that tends to be the area, if there's a little mesoscale low in there, kind of right in here between Valley City and Castleton, that would be kind of the area along the leading edge of that where you could expect a little bit of enhanced shear and sometimes some quick QLCS style tornadoes. There does seem to be some increasing areas of rotation right in that area, just south and east of Castleton. So we'll keep an eye on that one as that comes towards the Fargo metro. And we do have some cameras over in that Fargo side. So we'll take a look at those in just a minute. Getting a little darker there in Fargo, that's one thing. There is some heavy precip over this, so this camera is not doing great here. But already some pretty heavy storms over the Fargo area. None of those are technically severe at the moment. Mostly just some gusty winds and definitely torrential rain. You can see the flash flood warnings here back along I-94. But yeah, I do want to take a look and see if this one has changed at all. Yeah, that is a tightening area of rotation right in here just south of Castleton. So we'll keep an eye on that one. And I do want to see here, we can probably grab that. Okay. Our quad setup was helpful. I can see that little area of rotation in here just on the last couple scans, and we can grab the mileage out of that one and take it. I want to take this area just off to the northeast at about 20. That's going to put it into Fargo, West Fargo, and Fargo in about 25 minutes. So, assuming that's at about 20 miles an hour, let's take it a little bit faster just in case. Lifting off to the northeast at 25. That would put it into West Fargo in about 20 minutes. So yeah, I'd say about 20 minutes. This little area rotation is going to be over here into the Fargo metro. So we'll keep an eye on you guys. If you know anyone in Fargo, yeah, definitely keep an eye on that storm. Have your tornado action plan ready to go. Hey, Reed, how's it going tonight? Hope all is well. If anyone has any questions about your specific location, and you don't have to like tell the world where you are, just give me, you know, the closest larger city to your location, and whatever you kind of feel comfortable. I can also grab the local storm outlook for you guys too. Yeah, this has gotten a lot broader and messier here, and they have trimmed Rutland out of the tornado warning. So Rutland, you guys are good to go. It's going to be a little longer though into that heavy rain and possibly a flood threat down here right on the South Dakota, North Dakota state line. These storms aren't moving that much, and they are kind of training across basically the state line. Yeah, the lead storm is moving pretty good here. This is a good clip. But back here, yeah, they're just training across the same area. So turn around, don't drown, especially as it gets closer to dark. Be careful here between Ellendale, Frederick, Britain, Newark, Havana, Foreman, back up towards Rutland, and even Windermere. Muncie, Indiana. You guys are good in Muncie for a while. I think, let me just double check. Yeah, there's a general kind of thunderstorm risk in the Ohio Valley tomorrow, but non-severe. Severe thunderstorms should be contained to the upper Midwest tomorrow. And then same for, this would be Thursday. And they actually, just breaking news here, they did add a larger slight risk, looks like, since earlier today. Friday, we're going to probably be on for a live stream. This should be, I think, a pretty impactful severe weather event. Again, back there in the upper Midwest on Friday. It wouldn't be till, I was looking at the models yesterday. We have a little forecast video out from yesterday, or late last night and early this morning. For Muncie, Indiana, any kind of severe weather would be maybe Thursday, or sorry, not Thursday, Monday or Tuesday kind of time frame. But it will start to warm up in Muncie. The fall-like air that we've had across the Midwest and Great Lakes and East Coast is slowly going to rebound. I know tomorrow, especially here in the Southern Plains, is going to start heating up, and that will kind of head towards that area here in the Ohio Valley over the weekend, so it should start to warm up for you too. Yeah, I mean, it's a little far out to see exactly what's going on, but maybe Monday, Tuesday kind of time frame, you might get a little more concentrated area of severe weather. It's hard to say though, this far out. You would know that, I guess, if you're into streaming and stuff. And I don't like doing the clickbait stuff, so once I get over that kind of 100, 150 hours, though, I really don't take a lot of confidence in the models. This is broadened out. That's a good sign, but still stay in your safe place here. Cayuga, Wild Rice Wildlife Refuge, and then the Windermere. And wouldn't be surprised if it starts to try and spin up again. There is still this little dog leg in here. That's where you can expect the area of rotation. So we'll have to watch this one as it lifts up towards Abercrombie, and also areas here along I-29, just on the Minnesota and North Dakota border. I've heard that. Yeah, schools are starting, it seems like, real early. I know I heard a few schools already started, even already like the yeah, I guess it would be what I guess that's about right. Yeah, some schools started like late last week, even like the last couple days of July. Still is some rotation in here, so we'll keep an eye on you guys. Indiana's had some significant second season weather though, every now and then, especially in the fall. So you might get some more severe storms later in the fall too. This is it's kind of gusted out here at the moment. This is turning, I think, into a little bit of a damaging wind threat though. We can see that, especially because we are going down the radial here towards the Aberdeen radar. That's going to give us a pretty good estimate of these winds in here. So 60 to 70 mile an hour winds looks like showing up in here. Pretty good. This is south of Watonka. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if there's gusts over 60 in there. And that is right with some of that heavier precip too. So that helps translate some of that wind energy to the ground and could easily produce, I think, 65 mile an hour winds. When was that again? Was that in May? April? Ping pong ball size hail too. That hail core is tucked up in here. With Tonka, you guys are about to get hammered pretty good with some hail. And still seeing some rotation in here, but... Okay, thinking of another one then. Indiana had pretty active spring season, so maybe that's what I was thinking of. I can look it up too. $2024. That's March 2024. Yeah, EF3 tornado. They might have had a couple tornadoes in Winchester, because I feel like I've heard of that town before last year too. Last year's was an EF3. It actually was a one fatality in Winchester from the EF3 March 14th. But I wonder if they've had more tornadoes. No, it was that strongest. That EF3 last year was their strongest tornado in 38 years. So I guess maybe I am thinking of somewhere else. And speaking of stronger, this wind energy is picked up here. I wouldn't be surprised if they extend a considerable threat wind severe thunderstorm warning here out through Aberdeen in the next few minutes. This is definitely picked up here. And as the storm closes on Aberdeen, we're getting even actually lower level looks at this wind. So yeah, would not be surprised if there's 70 mile an hour winds, even a little bit higher in this little cluster. And this is going to be some wind-driven ping pong ball size hail. So this is going to do some damage here from Watonka all the way down towards Aberdeen. A couple of these storms in South Dakota, non-tornadic, but some larger hail down in here. They got the baseball size hail destructive warning in that area around Hoven. And then this cell seems to be picking up in intensity with the hail core. Still could get a tornado out of this. There is a tornado possible tag. It would be kind of on that leading edge, so not seeing a lot of rotation right now. It looks like it's mostly outflow dominant here storm, but that is surging out with some pretty significant winds. And then we've lost our tornado warning in eastern South Dakota. Still seeing some rotation in here near Lake City, Hypa. It looks like broad rotation right now. Yeah, it's kind of broad. So we'll keep an eye on that storm. That's a good dream to have. That's a good target to have. Definitely learn as much as you can, because a lot of times people do tend to storm chase before they become a meteorologist. Definitely learn as much as you can about the weather, because if you go out into the field as a storm chaser, you definitely want to be able to translate what you're seeing on radar to real life. Because if you don't have a lot of weather knowledge, which some people do and they still storm chase, that can be a pretty dangerous thing. So, and that'll help you then going on to be a meteorologist too. You can gather up all your info you have now and get as much learning in there, and then you can continue that in the meteorology program. And there's a couple good meteorology programs in Indiana too. This is broadened out here a little bit, so that's good as this is coming into Fargo. Not seeing that tightening area of rotation like we did earlier, as it was kind of south of Castleton. I don't think it was close to producing, but it, for a couple radar scans, looked like it was tightening up. Still keeping an eye on that one. That also could, a little bit of a bow feature in there that could enhance some wind coming towards Fargo. Because our radar here is straight north of this area, we're not seeing that wind profile like we are in that storm near Aberdeen. That's because the wind here is going perpendicular from our radar beam, so not getting the best look at it, but wouldn't be surprised if there's a little bit higher winds in there too. And we dealt with this area recently here in southeastern North Dakota. It's a bit of a radar hole. Oh, let's see. It was really frustrating. There was a tornado or tornado warned storm right on this range ring, and it was on the range ring for both radar sites, almost exactly where this one is. Yeah, this one's on the range ring. I think it was up here near Lisbon, if I remember right. Yeah, I remember this area. Fort Ransom, Elliott, Lisbon. There was a storm right in here, and very similar. It's out of the range of both radar sites. So potentially still could see some tornadic rotation in here. It'd be just south of Windermere. We'll see if they extend it out. It doesn't appear like there's as much rotation in there, but again, we're really far from the radar site, so it's hard to see what's going on at the ground level. Rotation is picking up a little bit on that cell near Lake City too. Okay, this camera is back online. It's gotten really dark there just in the last few minutes in the Fargo camera. I guess that storm is closing in on Fargo, so that makes sense. It's also 8:40, but no, that's, yeah, it's mostly that storm coming in, because if I look here, that's Lakota, North Dakota. So that's how light it is outside of the storms. And that's how dark it is underneath the storms coming into Fargo. Pretty significant difference there. There could be a little bit of camera technology. Some cameras deal with light better than others, so there could be a little of that too, but right now, all of the severe warnings here are in South Dakota right now. For the severe thunderstorm warnings. We do have also quarter-size hail, 60-mile-an-hour winds, Wallace, Florence, down towards Watertown, South Dakota, and some strong storms actually starting to come up here near De Smet, South Dakota, too. I think generally this little appendage here, Webster, Siston, down towards De Smet, this whole area could have quarter-size hail and some 50 to 60-mile-an-hour winds. Just kind of the general line of that. So if I don't call out your town here immediately, just kind of know if you're out ahead of this, Ortonville, Millbank, Clear Lake, Brookings, Madison, maybe down towards Dell Rapids, you could get a pretty strong storm here in the next little while. And then a pretty good cell coming into Pierre, South Dakota as well. Let's see. Yeah, that's going to be on the edge of that radar site, but potentially some hail in that storm near Pierre, South Dakota. They've dropped this to a considerable threat, so that's a good sign. Near Hoven, the bad sign is it's just hanging out. It's not even moving that much. Yeah, this is going to be a localized flood threat too. It's just kind of sitting here. It's really stalled over the same area. So Hoven, Tolstoy, Onaka, here in Edmonds, Falk, Potter, and Walworth counties. Again, considerable threat for lime-size hail, 70-mile-an-hour wind, and also some pretty heavy rain there. This is going to get a 70-mile-an-hour considerable threat tag. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if they extend this out through Aberdeen here in the next couple minutes. It's not moving that fast, but usually a considerable threat coming into a populated area, they'll usually warn it ahead of time, even though it is only moving at 20 miles an hour. The leading edge here at 20 is going to put it into Aberdeen in, let's see, about 33 minutes. So about a half hour if you're in the Aberdeen metro. Prairie Wood Village, about 40 minutes. Nahon, about 50. And then Richmond, South Dakota, about 10 minutes. Okay, yeah, there's Richmond. So Richmond and Pleasant Valley, those type of areas, about 10 to 15 minutes. Still watching some broad rotation here near Lake City as well. Some hail also picking up. I wouldn't be surprised if this gets a severe thunderstorm warning. Maybe a severe warning tornado possible tag. Yeah, the hail core is coming up in that cell, as well as rotation. This is looking at the correlation coefficient. It's one of the ways we can look and see some hail. It's not sometimes the best way to pick out hail. I've just gotten pretty used to and good at it, especially because I'm usually flipping to correlation coefficient even anyway, looking at tornado signatures. So it's just on my trigger finger here on the keyboard too. The other way we can look at it is with our quad setup, and we can look at the differentials. But let's go down to there. So yeah, there's a look at it on the differentials, and let me pause it for a second. So on the lower left, we got our correlation coefficient, so that matches what we saw on our other main radar. But then here's the differentials, and you can see that hail core matches up there with the reflectivity. And then, yeah, there still is some broad rotation. Our top right corner is our velocity scan, and then just normal reflectivity on the top left. Behind the storms looks actually pretty nice. This is looking behind the storms at Millerton, North Dakota. Yeah, North Dakota. We'll keep an eye on this area around Lake City. And they have extended that considerable threat through Aberdeen, South Dakota. So Aberdeen, you want to be in that sturdy structure away from windows on a lower level, especially if you have trees on your property. Treat it similar to a tornado warning. You don't have to go to the basement if you don't have a basement. You don't have to get below ground. So don't worry about that kind of stuff, but at least be in a sturdy structure away from the windows and on that lower level. Bismarck, yeah, Bismarck, you guys should be clear of the evening. They've dropped the tornado watch. Yep, Bismarck, you're good to go. Let me just take a look and see if there's any. No, there's not even anything behind you guys. It is going to be a busy week in Bismarck. Henry. Yeah, Henry. Let's see. Tomorrow, looks like most of the action should be south into South Dakota. But then, let's see. Wednesday, Thursday. Thursday, we're going to be back up here into North Dakota. So Bismarck, another shot of severe weather. Thursday, and then I think Friday, potentially Friday too. Although I think it's going to be probably shifted a little east to Bismarck.
Thunderstorm warning has been issued.
I wouldn't be surprised if this gets expanded as well. Bismarck, you're close enough. I'd pay attention to Friday too. Although if I think if anything, it's probably going to get expanded a little bit to the south and east for Friday. But yeah, I'd still pay attention to the Friday forecast. And then it should clear out by Saturday for Bismarck. Real active pattern. strong storms, non-severe at the moment coming into Fargo. These are going to be gusty winds in that 50 to 55 mile an hour range. And that basically extends from the Fargo area all the way down into eastern parts of North Dakota, Great Bend, Dwight, Hankinson, towards Fairmount. There are, again, some areas of rotation in here. So we do have to pay attention to those. They're behaving themselves right now, so that's some good news for now. And they're probably just going to let this storm work its way out of this tornado warning. It expires in about 12 minutes. The area of rotation would be just on the edge of this. And it's just really almost impossible to see that. We're right on the range ring of both radars. If you know anyone in Fargo or down towards Fergus Falls, Minnesota, like this area definitely needs a new radar site. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, check out our we put a severe weather forecast out. It hasn't changed that much in the last 12 hours or so. Hey Sarah, how's it going tonight? I saw Sarah's a pro sunset photographer now. That was a really cool sunset shot. Still seeing some 70 plus mile an hour winds coming into Aberdeen. And now that we're getting close, I do want to look here and see how close that is on the radar. Let's see. On my phone, I have a radar product that I can see how far from the radar site a certain distance would be. It'd be great if these fancy radars on my computer had that same tool, but let's see. Oh yeah, so those 70 plus mile an hour winds, let's find some right in that area, are only about 700 feet off of the ground. So that is a pretty low level look at some damaging winds coming into Aberdeen, South Dakota. And again, we're going to have to watch this little hook on the leading edge. It hasn't shown rotation here in the last couple minutes, but there is a little bit of an inflow notch here. This is where that storm is getting the inflow. And then we have a little bit of a surging outflow on its southern flank. So if there is an area of rotation, it would likely spin up right in this area, just in here on the leading edge. That is a fitting name. Well, they didn't lie about the name then. It's funny because a lot of the subdivisions seem to be named after like the ranch that they took over and plowed through the farm field. Like, so you'll get a lot of like subdivisions with like ranch names and stuff, and like, yeah, it hasn't been looking like that in years. Still seeing some broad rotation around that Lake City storm. Also some hail.
New information. This flash flood warning has been updated.
And we've finally, actually, for the first time in this streak, have dropped the tornado warning. So that's a good sign for right now. I do want to take a look then, and let's switch gears while we don't have any tornado warnings, and just take a look at, wrong one. Yeah, so here is our observed flash flooding. Dickey and McIntosh counties in southeastern North Dakota, between 2 and 7 inches of rain. So that is train spotter reported flash flooding. Again, if you're in parts of North Dakota, South Dakota, especially as it's getting dark, please turn around, don't drown. And yeah, looking at the radar, there's a pretty big swath in here of 6 to 7 inches of rain. Even a couple areas that are maybe overestimating, but potentially could have some areas that are closer to 8 inches of rain. This would be in here north of North Dakota Highway 11. Let's see, north and east of Ashley, North Dakota. South of Calm. Yeah, that's a dangerous situation there. 2 to 7 inches of rain. That's a lot. That's a lot of rain for this area. This is not like Florida or anything like that where they can get like a good thunderstorm that has 3 or 4 inches in an hour. This area too looks like it also, this is along Highway 90 or I-94, also registering between 2.5 to 3.5 with an additional 1.5 inches possible. And yeah, there's some areas in here that are also showing like 7 inches of rain potentially too. So I think this area could even be another area here that's seen quite a bit of rain. And then Valley City, observed flooding there for Barnes County. Local law enforcement reported flooding. It's like between 1 and 3 inches of rain. For this part of the country, that is a ton of water. Check that Valley City area. Yeah, a little less in Valley City, but still a pretty significant amount. I don't know if it's going to get down to St. Louis the next couple days. There's a potential that some of the convection today works its way down the Missouri River and gets into like central Missouri by tomorrow morning. I don't know if it's going to make it all the way to St. Louis. So there is a marginal risk tomorrow across northern Missouri and Kansas City area. St. Louis, just a general thunderstorm risks tomorrow. Let me check. We should get a new HRRR run here. And let me see. Yeah, and northern Missouri looks like it has a little better shot at a little more concentrated area of storms. And then kind of more isolated general thunderstorms into eastern Missouri. So more of that like summertime kind of pop-up storm action. It does appear like it's pretty isolated tomorrow. Should start heating up. It's been really, really nice weather in the Midwest, but you should start getting some higher heat and also a little more humidity tomorrow too. Oh yeah, it's going to start cooking a little bit here. This is also what's going to fuel some of those storms, those rounds of storms in the upper Midwest. You can really see the humidity in the purples. That's their 60, 70 dew points. They're riding up here, the Mississippi and Missouri River valleys. So yeah, eastern Missouri looks like you're going to be closer to that 70 dew point. Around the St. Louis area. And let's see. Some live forecasting here. Maybe close to 90 tomorrow around St. Louis, a little warmer down here towards Joplin, around low 90s. And then, yeah, back into Oklahoma, it's going to start baking again. Kansas. And let's see, by Thursday, maybe low 90s by St. Louis again. I think the next decent shot at a more organized amount of rain across this area here is going to be that Sunday kind of time frame, Sunday, Monday. The storm system that's going to be working into the upper Midwest is eventually going to kind of sag a boundary to the south. And once that does, the severe weather should be a little lower by then, but it could concentrate a corridor of some heavy rain and storms kind of in this area by Sunday, Monday kind of time frame. We're still a little ways out, so there's still some model disagreement on that. Okay, some good news here. They've trimmed North Dakota from the tornado watch. So you guys are all clear in North Dakota. Although I wouldn't be surprised if there's a quick spin up still potentially in this area here, just in extreme southeast North Dakota, south of Fargo, basically the I-29 corridor. So for another 30 minutes, I still want, yeah, these areas here, east of Enderlin, south of Fargo, down to the state line. I still want you guys to be severe weather aware for the next little bit here. There are a couple areas of rotation still showing up in those line segments there south of Fargo. Hopefully, if it's just kind of some general strong thunderstorms but non-severe on Sunday,
a new destructive thunderstorm warning has been issued.
You can get some heavy rain, but not the flooding rain, and hopefully not the severe weather. Considerable threat coming into Aberdeen within the next couple minutes here. This is, again, moving at about 20 miles an hour. So we're kind of watching it slowly move into Aberdeen, but it's just north of town, up towards Harlan and Richfield Estates, Richmond Heights, and Beagler's First Edition. Basically up here east of or west of 281, north of Highway 12. And that looks like it's coming right into downtown Aberdeen with some pretty significant winds. They've extended the tornado possible considerable threat severe thunderstorm for this storm that's just sitting over Hoven. Still seeing some rotation in here. This one has not really been tornadic yet, but rotation has picked up a little bit on that in the last scan or two. So we are seeing some broad rotation here with winds going away from the radar and then winds coming towards the radar, basically centered over Hoven, South Dakota. But yeah, I do think this is going to be a flood threat down here. Yeah, this is the last 45 minutes or so, and you can see this same county. The storm has really just sat over this area and is reformed on its southern flank. Yeah, that's 45 minutes. It has not moved that much. And for the slow movement, it's pushed to the east. It's back built and continuing to cause severe hail. This could be some significant crop damage up in here. This warning has been going on since really we started the stream, I think. So this warning has been going on for baseball-sized destructive hail for quite a while, and it's extended out another 44 minutes. So some of these areas potentially could have over an hour of baseball-sized hail, and not every hailstone is going to be baseball-sized, but that doesn't mean that it's not going to be damaging hail. It's going to be the golf balls, the ping pong balls, and just battering this whole area for about over an hour. Yeah, seeing some rotation there too. Ooh. We've been watching that area around Lake City. It's non-severe right now. It has some hail in it, and it's had rotation at times. This rotation has picked up a little bit just in the last scan here. Yeah, you can kind of see this massive rotation here around Lake City. It's been very broad and kind of scattered, but just in the last couple scans, we can see the intensifying greens. Those are going towards the radar, and it's tightened up just on that last scan. This will be east of Clear Lake and east of Lake City now. Approaching the Sitka Hollow State Park, Long Hollow. Those appear to be kind of the only areas. Valley View Estates and Siston, South Dakota. Also Lake Traverse reservation there. It does seem to be kind of drifting a little bit south and east. Don't try and go out and spot this. It's going to be tucked up in the rain, surrounded by hail. There's still hail showing up in this area. Yeah, we can actually see that here kind of in the correlation coefficient too. This is all hail contamination in here. And then our area of rotation is in this little pocket of weaker reflectivity and also weaker correlation or stronger correlation right now. Nothing showing up that shouldn't be there, so that's a good sign right now. That's an interesting one. Aberdeen, South Dakota, you guys are under the gun here just basically now. Looks like still seeing 70-mile-an-hour winds. 70 plus coming into Aberdeen. Potentially up towards hurricane force around that 74, 75 mile an hour range. So yeah, that's going to do some damage. Interesting. They are going to issue a severe thunderstorm warning here for those areas around Lake City. This is Roberts and Marshall counties in northeastern South Dakota. Moving east at 20 for 60-mile-an-hour winds and penny-sized hail. Interesting, they have not added a tornado possible tag. However, there is some decently tight rotation in there.
Severe thunderstorm warning has been issued.
Yeah, it is coming down in Fargo right now. That's the changing look there. Heavy rain now coming through Fargo. Wouldn't be surprised if we see some lightning in that too.
A new flash flood warning has been issued.
Nice sunset views behind these storms. This is just in the areas around Foreman, showing up a really nice sunset there. That is just on the back edge of this rain. So right along, looks like North Dakota Highway 32 and North Dakota Highway 11. Okay, yeah, 11. So looking west from the Foreman area. You can see on the left side of that that shot there, that is rain shafts down here towards Newark, that darker area, and then obviously the sun is going to be coming up from this side there. So we're looking basically, I think, due west almost, and seeing the rain down here, and then the sunshine from Foreman. So this is all sun out here. And then this is the rain. Yeah, it's a cool look. Okay, that little area seems to have spun down for the minute here. Still seeing some broad rotation in here, but you can see that we've lost those brighter reds and brighter greens. Still some showing up broadly in here near Buffalo Lake. So keep an eye on that storm. And still seeing some rotation in this cell near Windermere. That was the tornado warning cell earlier. Doesn't look as severe right now, but it is kind of this weird little calm ahead that still has a broad rotation in it. There's a little bit tighter actually right in there. Not seeing anything though on the CC. It's a good sign. Yeah, you can see if I put it into motion, there still are a couple areas of rotation just kind of broadly in these little dog legs in this little line segment here. And again, could pose a quick spin up type tornado threat. It could also just enhance some of those wind areas just on the leading edge of that line. New tornado warnings here by Environment Canada. Severe thunderstorm capable of producing damaging wind, large hail, and rain. That is going to be, where is this? Okay, this is southwest parts of Manitoba, which we did call in our morning forecast for a small all hazards threat also up here in Manitoba. And yeah, it looks like there is a area of rotation actually lifting off to the northeast, south of Oak Lake Beach. It's a bit stronger down here. So that's going to be well south of Oak Lake and Griswold. About 15 miles to the south of Oak Lake. So keep an eye on that one in that part of western Manitoba, southwest of Brandon, Manitoba. We'll check back on that area later too if it does continue to show rotation. They've dropped the considerable threat tag on this just now. Still seeing some pretty heavy winds coming right through Aberdeen. Kind of surprised they dropped that tag because I think there are some winds that are higher than 60 in here. They just haven't fully come through the downtown Aberdeen and over here by the airport yet. I think there still are some areas here that could be 65 to 70 kind of range.
New information, this severe thunderstorm warning has been updated.
I believe that's this one here, the Brown County one. They have increased the speed to 30 miles an hour. So that's clipped up a little bit. And then they've also reduced the hail size to penny size hail. So that's one good thing here. It looks like we have reduced a little bit of that hail threat coming through Aberdeen right now. Still seeing the baseball size hail and a tornado possible tag though back near Hoven with 70 mile an hour winds, also potential there. And again, I think a dangerous flood threat happening as, let's check that area here. Potentially closest to 2-inch an hour rainfall rates. And yeah, some areas in here closer to 3 inches of rain so far, just north of Hoven. If anyone's just joining us, North Dakota, Bismarck, Jamestown, Valley City, up towards Grand Forks. You guys are all good to go for the evening. We've dropped the tornado watch for parts of southeast North Dakota. Still watching some strong to severe storm potential here in areas south of Fargo. So if you're in this area of North Dakota, I would still be weather aware the next few minutes. And then behind that, there still are some areas here in southeast parts of the state that do have a elevated flash flood threat. There are a number of flash flood warnings in effect. So please turn around, don't drown, especially as it's getting closer to dark. And then pretty much that's going to shift our severe risk here into parts of South Dakota, potentially also into parts of western Minnesota. We'll watch that line south of Fargo work into Minnesota. But we've seen some pretty big hailstorms here in parts of South Dakota this evening. We've had a number of confirmed tornadoes earlier. The tornado watch goes another 47 minutes, so we'll keep an eye for that. It seems to be, we may be losing some of the ingredients here for the tornadoes. We haven't seen as many tornado warnings in the last little bit. There are still some areas of rotation that we're going to keep our eye on. Actually, one kind of picking up just north of Aberdeen. So we'll keep an eye on this little notch right in here. And then this area here over near Agency Village and Lake Traverse Reservation has had some broad rotation at times. It's tightened up a few times. We haven't been able to confirm any CC lowerings with that one, though. Earlier, right as we were starting the stream, we had two radar confirmed tornadoes with all the ingredients coming together. Very tight couplets on the velocity and very notable correlation coefficient debris signatures showing up on those. Looks like our cell near Pierre, South Dakota is dying off as it's come into the Pierre area. So that's a good sign there. And then still watching for a severe threat with this line of storms into eastern parts of South Dakota. I wouldn't be surprised again. Quarter-size hail, 60-mile-an-hour winds. Could get a warning there really at any time out of that cluster of storms. That's also approaching the I-29 corridor near Brookings and then up towards Watertown. Let's take a look at those tornado warnings in Manitoba. This is again near Oak Lake. And it looks like that's come down a little bit. Seeing a pretty decent hail core in here as well. So hail would kind of sit just north of this area of rotation. Basically along Manitoba Provincial Highway 2. That's going to be south of Oak Lake and north of Hartley, Manitoba. Lifting to the north-northeast. This cell still has some interesting spin in it. So we'll keep an eye on that one too. It's right over Buffalo Lake District, approaching Agency Village. And then some very good news here is we're seeing some outflow dominant storms. This little outflow boundary has stretched out of the most severe part of this storm near Aberdeen. And you can see the downtrend on these storms back here near Roscoe, Ipswich. That's going to introduce a lot of rain-cooled air, and they're not going to be able to tap the inflow. So we could see potentially some reformation along that leading edge of the outflow boundary, but the storms themselves back here, they're going to start to die off. That's a really good sign. And we can see how it surges out very quickly here, this outflow boundary. Still need to pay attention a little bit to that leading edge. It doesn't look tornadic right now either, but sometimes right where the outflow boundary interacts, that's where the inflow is already coming into this storm. So there can sometimes be a little localized area of rotation right there, aided by that outflow boundary, but I'm not seeing that right now, so that's a good sign. That outflow boundary and rain cooling may help to bring down this storm near Hoven. Still seeing some areas of rotation in here also, though. Actually, it looks a little healthier now than it even did before. There's a little bit of a hook down in here just west of Hoven. So we'll keep an eye on this area right in there. Yeah, there is a little bit of rotation in there still. That's an interesting one. But yeah, positive news here. These are outflow dominant storms now coming through Aberdeen. That should reduce the severe threat within those. And we've already seen that here. It's gone from a considerable threat down to the standard 60 mile an hour winds and some small hail. Newest flash flood warning here into South Dakota. 2 to 4 inches of rain, additional 1 to 2 possible. That's for Marshall County. That's that area I noted earlier. I think there was another area right here along the South Dakota, North Dakota state line where there's a number of storms just training across the same area. That's a nasty night. Please turn around, don't drown. And if you really don't need to go anywhere in this northeast part of South Dakota, I would just kind of hunker down, like and subscribe, and click the bell icon so you can see us live streaming. And yeah, just hang out. That is not a fun drive anywhere from really almost Brookings all the way up to Fargo on 29. And yeah, there's a look at Fargo area. You can see the wind and rain when the cars drive by, but it is looks like gusty winds and pretty heavy rain still. The strongest winds in this cell are going to be just south of Fargo. They're going to lift up towards Barnesville, Minnesota, Fergus Falls, that area there along Highway 94 on after you go through Fargo and head southeast towards the Twin Cities. That's a rough night. So we're down to 3 severe thunderstorm warnings right now. Brown, Marshall, Roberts, and then Edmonds, Falk, Potter, and Walworth counties. The last one there is the one out near Hoven, and that is for the baseball-sized destructive severe thunderstorm that also is producing a small tornadic threat here south and west of Hoven, and then also I think a pretty good heavy rain threat with flash flooding potentially there in this area from this storm just really just sitting over this same area over the last hour and a half or so. Yeah, wow, that is it's been there almost the whole time we've been streaming. And we do have to watch a little bit of rotation in these cells up here, kind of a little mesoscale low that's formed. And you can see how they're kind of rotating into this little comma head here. So we do have to watch that.
A new flash flood warning has been issued.
There is broad rotation showing up in here. Again, it's very broad. It's more of that localized low pressure than any tornadic rotation, but it can enhance those storms and their mesocyclones sometimes. New flash flood warning. That's for Cass County, North Dakota, and Clay County, Minnesota. It's going to be radar indicated severe thunderstorm or caused rain, I guess I should say. That's going to be that area right at Fargo. So yeah, heavy thunderstorms producing heavy rain between 1 to 2 inches of rain and an additional 1 plus. Hey, Josh's, how's it going tonight? Hope all is well where you are. And if you are just tuning in from the North Dakota area, North Dakota is clear of the tornado watch. So Bismarck over to Valley City, over to Fargo, no more tornado watch. The only localized severe weather potential is right here, just south of Fargo along I-29. That's good. Yeah, a lot of the severe storms have been really confined to basically the upper Midwest the last, almost the last month. We have had a couple stronger storms today in parts of northern Florida. Just like the last few, there's been just a decaying front down here, and it sparked a number of shower and storm clusters today. I think we had a severe thunderstorm near Charleston earlier too. Yeah, those are all offshore now. So yeah, other than the southeast, the last week or so, it's really been mostly up here. Oh yeah, you're in Pennsylvania, right? Oh, look at this. State College is down, Cleveland is down, and Philly International is down as well. That's not good. I mean, luckily there's no storms there, but maybe. Yeah, there's no note on it. There's no message from the operator. Sometimes they'll put a note on things. The Cleveland one does have a note. It says the Cleveland KCLE.
This severe thunderstorm warning has been updated.
Yeah, they're updating that severe thunderstorm warning. KCLE will experience intermittent outages due to comms problem through 15Z on August 5th. Not really much of an update, but sometimes they'll even note like, hey, technicians are on the way, sort of thing. Yeah, we're not going to be able to see much here out of Pennsylvania. Oh, there are some showers here on the coast, it looks like. Maybe some showers along the coast. Hard to say. And actually, interestingly enough, it does say the Delaware radar KDOX is also data over 30 minutes. So it might not be fully down, but this radar isn't working great for us either. No note. It just says this data is over 30 minutes because the tower is offline. So it's just a offline note, not any specific one by the office there. We do have a radar, at least for us here, right in the middle of these storms. So back here near Aberdeen, we're watching these storms. They are now outflow dominant. You can see this outflow boundary surging out. That's going to reduce the severe weather risk here from basically west of Aberdeen towards Roscoe. Still watching this little area here. There's a little inflow notch right where this outflow boundary intersects this storm. This was a tornado warned storm earlier. Not showing it right now. Hopefully. I guess at least hopefully they get clear weather here for the rest of the evening and they can get that. Yeah, at least there's no big storms over there. So any repairs, I would assume, is not going to be a weather-related delay repair. And they have extended the special weather statement into Minnesota. It's going to be 40-mile-an-hour winds and half-inch hail. 40 mile an hour winds and half inch hail. 40 mile an hour winds and half inch hail. 40 mile an hour winds and half inch hail. 40 mile an hour winds and half inch hail. 40 mile an hour winds and half inch hail. 40 mile an hour winds and half inch hail. 40 mile an hour winds and half inch hail. 40 mile an hour winds and half inch hail. 40 mile an hour winds and half inch hail. 40 mile an hour winds and half inch hail. 40 mile an hour winds and half inch hail. 40 mile an hour winds and half inch hail. 40 mile an hour winds and half inch hail. 40 mile an hour winds and half inch hail. 40 mile an hour winds and half inch hail. 40 mile an hour winds and half inch hail. 40 mile an hour winds and half inch hail. 40 mile an hour winds and half inch hail. 40 mile an hour winds and half inch hail. 40 mile an hour winds and half inch ha They're usually not down for too long. Usually, like, I think the longest I usually see it is maybe a day or so. Rotation seems to have weakened on those tornado-warned cells near Oak Lake, Manitoba. Still some strong cells with hail, wind, and torrential rains back here in southern Saskatchewan. And nickel-size hail, at least. I think that one could have stronger than Nichols. This one in here, this is going to be, oh, this is going to be south and east of Weyburn, Saskatchewan. All right, I got to grab a drink, so let me grab a drink. And we'll let this radar play here. And then I'm sure as soon as I step away to grab a drink, you'll get all kinds of new warnings.
A new severe thunderstorm warning has been issued.
All right, that's better. I got drink refill, new water bottle, and then there were homemade blueberry muffins coming out of the oven. I had to wait there a couple extra minutes to get a nice warm muffin, but that was good. That was worth it. I had my phone, so I was looking. We didn't get anything, I don't think, significantly changed here over the last couple minutes, but oh, let's see. Let's check our tornado warned storm. This is in southwest Manitoba. Still seeing some rotation south of Oak Lake, south of Griswold, along Provincial Highway 1 and Provincial Highway 2. It's out near Plum Lake. Fairly low populated area, but this is similar to the Dakotas. They're low populated areas as far as like major cities, but there are some small communities out here and ranches and farmlands. So there are people that are affected by these large tornado warned storms here in the Canadian prairies too. And then back here into South Dakota and North Dakota, we still have our flash flood warnings.
New information. This flash flood warning has been updated.
They've updated this one just now, actually, the Clay and Cass County ones around the Fargo area to observed flash flooding. Haven't really seen any on our camera, but our camera's on a overpass, so a little bit higher ground there. Probably not going to see that much, but yeah, there is public reported flash flooding of small creeks and streams, urban highways, underpasses, and poor drainage areas. Things should start to calm down in Fargo after this line kind of clears the Red River here. So heavier rain just basically in the eastern part of South Dakota, and then it does start to clear out past there. Still seeing, I think, some strong storms still here south of Aberdeen. Surprised this does not have a severe warning on it still. There's probably at least, okay, there it goes. Say there's at least 60-mile-an-hour winds in there, and it's again where we were talking about earlier, right at the intersection of the outflow boundary along this leading edge. There's basically a little bit of RFD surging out here, and then there is a little bit of an inflow notch right in there. That's where we have to watch for a little bit of tornadic circulation. It's not showing up much at all right now, so that's a good sign.
But
just an area to keep our eye on.
Has been issued.
Pretty good lightning there on the Fargo camera. This little notch is going to continue working its way south and east along Highway 12.
New information. This flash flood warning has been
Yeah, we're going to get, let's see, it's 9:40, so we'll probably get a bunch of updates on the warnings here. But anyway, along Highway 12, US Highway 12 from Groton, Andover, down towards Bristol, that would be the area just south and along Highway 12 that we would have to watch for a little more focused tornadic threat. And then quarter-size hail, but it looks like the hail threat may have come up a little bit. That's also going to ride essentially along the Highway 12 corridor, maybe just north of Highway 12. Let's back it up just a little bit. Yeah, there's a little bit stronger hail core showing up in there now too. So, and yeah, really seeing it on the correlation coefficient. This is all some pretty large hail in here. Wouldn't be surprised if it's back to that kind of where it was earlier near Leola. Ping pong ball sized hail, tornado possible tag. It does seem to have kind of rebounded after it's worked through Aberdeen. And then south of there and west of there, this whole cluster storm should stay a little bit calmer thanks to the outflow boundary that's surged to the south. That should also help eventually reduce this severe cell that's just sitting over the Hoven area. I feel like we're just still talking about this area, but still a lime-sized hail, tornado possible considerable threat tag. The good news is the baseball-sized hail has come down. So we'll still watch that area around Hoven. And then we did get a new warning, quarter-size hail, 60-mile-an-hour winds for the cell near Brookings, South Dakota, back towards Arlington. And mostly, yeah, that is just going to be a quarter-size hail and some gusty wind threat. It's going to be moving east over the I-29 corridor from Brookings up towards White and south of Astoria. That storm, I think, is dying out, so that's a good sign in the areas there southwest of Brandon. Yeah, you can see this little MCS has kind of formed here with the little low pressure right about in there. And some of these storms kind of spiraling into this. Luckily, it's not a severe MCS right now. It is just sub-severe. But that is going to increase a little bit of a wind threat here across Fergus Falls, towards Alexandria. And this may come down the I-94 corridor into the Twin Cities and St. Cloud later tonight. Okay, sorry about that. Sneeze attack. I tend to get those late summer allergies. So, all right. Just getting a new severe thunderstorm warning just in time here. It's going to be an extension of that warning here near Hoven, and then a little bit further south towards Gettysburg, Seneca, and Lebanon. Quarter-size hail, 60-mile-an-hour winds. So good news, they have reduced that severity of that severe thunderstorm warning, but still a pretty nasty storm. And speaking of the nastiest storm, this may be the worst storm right now in all of North America. Maybe. At least all of the U.S. This is the worst storm, I think, in the U.S. right now. From Groton over to Andover, Pierpont, and Bristol, down towards Butler, South Dakota. I think this is going to try and spin up another tornado. We have our kind of rear flank here surging out, our inflow notch right in here, and rotation is picking up a little bit right in that area. Still not super strong yet, but give this a few more minutes. It's really starting to look a lot more pronounced.
A new severe thunderstorm warning has been issued.
It's also kind of turned, if you look at it here. It's basically latched onto this little outflow boundary that it helped create, and it's now turned actually a little bit off that Highway 12 corridor, sinking a little more towards the south. So we'll continue to watch that. Again, area of rotation picking up right in there. So if it does produce a tornado, it'd be in this little notch area. I'm not seeing it yet. But still an area to watch here. And then there is larger hail also picking up in this cell. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if there's some ping pongs showing up in here, and it's still being warned for just quarter-size hail. But I think in this area along Highway 12 from Groton over towards Andover, that may be a pretty good batch of hail right in here. And we're also seeing that on the CC lowerings here. So that's a nasty cell. Further east, let me just get a read on this one here. This is for Day and Brown counties. It's moving southeast at 30. So 30 to the southeast, it's going to put it into Bristol in about 20 minutes. Butler about 27, and then Homecrest about 30. Webster here also along Highway 12 about 43 minutes. And if it holds all the way together, Wallace about 60 minutes down here. Wallace and Florence. Yeah, that's a nasty cell right in here. There are pockets of at least 60 mile an hour winds. And some of those pockets of winds are also co-located with some hail, so there is a potential here for some wind-driven large hail, which is never a good thing. That's usually a pretty damaging situation when we have 60 to 70 mile an hour winds and larger hail. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if this gets re-upgraded to that considerable threat tag again. And they have increased that tornado watch. It was due to expire, I think, at the top of the hour. It's now extended out another 2 hours and 11 minutes. Maybe just getting that data now, because the description still says 10 p.m., but I wouldn't be surprised if this gets extended out again. Let me see if we got any update from the National Weather Service here. Just as of 10 minutes ago, Dexter due to become an extratropical storm. Not seeing anything yet. The National Weather Service is noting that this area, and also potentially further south into basically like this area kind of right in here, is where they highlighted as a mesoscale discussion a little while ago. Severe threat persisting with a transition to mainly damaging winds. So they are noting that. So yeah, let's see what happens here in the next couple of minutes. I wouldn't be surprised if they extend some type of weather watch into this area. But yeah, I think this is our strongest storm here at the moment. Again, surging out winds here, some larger hail right in here, and then watching this little inflow notch for areas of rotation. Again, not seeing that tighten up much in the last few minutes, but we do have to keep our eye on it here as it's drifting to the southeast. Again, not much out here. County Road 26. And then the next really major communities here, major, like named communities, Lily and Bradley are on the edge of the outside edge of the warning polygon right now. So this is probably the nastiest part of the cells as far as the wind. And then back up in here, this would be where your hail is. That's going to ride along US Highway 12 from Andover over towards Bristol. We've lost a lot of severe warnings in eastern parts of South Dakota. That's mostly just kind of general sloppy thunderstorms, potentially some localized flash flooding there. There's some heavy pockets of rain, but reduce the hail. There doesn't seem to be as much circulation. So yeah, not seeing a lot of rotation in there. So some good signs there. And then let's take a look here up towards the Fargo area. Things are calming down a little bit. We don't see those sheets of rain crossing this camera anymore. Most of the heavy rain here south of Fargo towards Barnesville and down towards Fergus Falls. Yeah, still not seeing a great wind profile in that storm since we're a little bit further from the radar and it's going basically the opposite direction of our radar beam, kind of perpendicular to the radar beam. And then taking a look at our other storm here, severe warning near Brookings, mostly small hail and 60-mile-an-hour winds. Back here near Lebanon, this cell does seem to be shrinking in size. That's a good sign. Still some pretty nasty storms just south of Hoven. A little bit of a hail core in there. Yeah, but that cell does seem to be downtrending. That's a good sign, finally. Still a lot of heavy rain in this area south of Aberdeen and also west of Aberdeen. These storms are going to continue kind of training along this path. So again, another area localized flash flooding potential there. And then still watching this. Let's take a look at this because we're getting some higher readings here, closer to 70 miles an hour on the rear flank. Yeah, that's a nasty little pocket of storms right here. Let's see anything in there exactly where this little hook is. Yeah, so I don't think we have any active tornadoes in there, but and the hook looks a little sloppier just on the last scan, but still a little punchy pocket of wind in here, right along County Highway 26.
New information, this severe thunderstorm warning has been updated.
Still 60-mile-an-hour winds and quarter-size hail for that Brookings County storm. And yeah, interesting here. This cell is taking a little bit of a turn, a little more towards the south, kind of following that outflow boundary that it's latched onto. Yeah, that's an interesting storm. The outflow boundary latches right in there. And that's where our inflow is. So that funnels everything into that little notch. I'm actually surprised in the last few scans we haven't seen a dramatic tightening or increase of that rotation. But yeah, that would be the area to watch. They may need to readjust this severe thunderstorm watch or warning and put it a little more towards the south. Because when this was issued, it was basically due southwest or southeast. And yeah, it's now turned quite more significantly to the south. May put it in line eventually for areas like Watertown. Yeah, kind of the AI tag on this, on our quad radar setup is tagging this as more than quarters. It's potentially 1.75. So that's a little more significant hail than the quarter size hail, the 1-inch hail. Yeah, that's a potential for golf ball size hail. I think earlier I said ping pong. Okay, I think that cell has gone non-tornadic in southern parts of Manitoba. Still seeing a couple isolated storms in actually western parts of South Dakota now. Interesting little feature there. Severe weather should be minimal, but that is an interesting new development there. Pretty nasty storm just south of Bracebridge, Ontario. Looks like it's raining itself out, though. Maybe a little quick burst of hail and localized flash flooding there. It's up in the cottage country part of Ontario, though. A lot of vacationers this time of year. Still seeing a lot of heavy rain in here, so I wouldn't be surprised if there's a localized flash flooding in western parts of Minnesota, especially northeastern parts of South Dakota, and then back here across north central South Dakota, where those storms are kind of training along each other. And what to see about this storm, it's going to be kind of riding a rain-cooled boundary here along the back edge of this precip. That's working to the north and east across northeast parts of South Dakota. So we'll see if this lasts much longer. It should be getting into some rain-cooled air, which is maybe why it's taken also a little bit more of that southern turn. Doesn't look quite as healthy just in the last radar scan. And it looks like the storm's just on its flank here, on this eastern flank, trying to push out an outflow boundary. So we're almost cut off its inflow. And that would make sense why it's not looking as healthy here. Once that inflow gets cut off, it'll be done too.
New information: this severe thunderstorm warning has been updated.
They've re-increased that hail threat there to the $half size hail out there in Edmonds, Falk, and Potter counties. That storm north and east of Gettysburg, still showing some decent hail north of Lebanon. This has turned almost completely south here. This is interesting. So basically, yeah, in the last little bit here, it was pretty consistently moving to the southeast. And just south of Groton, it's really significantly turned to the right. That's an interesting note there. It is looking a lot less healthy, though. It's starting to get pushed by that outflow boundaries here from these storms to the north, and also kind of riding this outflow boundary that it helped create. So it's kind of getting pinched off as well. It was originally southeast at 40. Southeast at 40, and now it's turned probably south at 40. Still watching kind of that leading edge here with the most significant wind in that pushing towards Clark. We didn't even call you guys out earlier because it was so far out of that warning polygon. But yeah, Clark, Raymond, you guys may be impacted by this storm now as it's diving to the south-southeast. Interesting storm. I was dissecting it a little bit here off the screen on our quad radar setup here. But this is that storm on the quad setup. And it is also showing that it is a lot less organized than it was just a few radar scans ago. You can also see the outflow boundary here on the quad setup there, that darker blue line coming out of the reflectivity. That is this area right here. A lot of interesting boundary interactions tonight. It looks like there's kind of a rain-cooled pool with a lot of this convection here. That's going to interfere this severe storm, and then it has its own little outflow boundary. These storms are kind of riding back here and also just kind of sitting along. The storms down along the eastern boundary with South Dakota, they do seem to be moving pretty efficiently to the east. And then the storms up here in the little mesoscale convective system, they seem to be also decently moving towards the east. So, and then, yeah, right where it all kind of intersects each other, those storms aren't moving as organized or as fast here across eastern parts of South Dakota. They are going to extend out a special weather statement for this area. I kind of thought they would put out a severe thunderstorm warning still. There is still a little punchy area of wind in here, but, well, that just went away, so maybe they're right. 50-mile-an-hour wind and penny-sized hail. That's moving southeast at 30. And that does include that area around Raymond and Clark that we noted earlier. Still, Bradley, Wallace could get into that, and Webster and Bristol. You guys are in the heaviest part of those storms right now. And the hail core has come down significantly, so that's a good sign. So still watching half dollar size hail out here towards Hoven and Gettysburg. Still watching a area here, quarter size hail, 60-mile-an-hour winds around Brookings. And then kind of a weak mesoscale convective system working into southern parts of, extremely southern and eastern parts of South Dakota, now pushing into western Minnesota. Some of the models have this kind of going east, southeast towards areas here like St. Cloud, potentially getting into the Twin Cities by morning. And then a lot of the models earlier had these kind of storms working their way south into more parts of South Dakota and even maybe getting into parts of northwest Iowa by morning. So we will keep an eye on that one. Let me just check the latest HRRR and see if there's some consensus there in that data. Yeah, potentially this kind of leading edge of storms could be into Minneapolis, St. Paul by about 4 a.m. And yeah, if this western area does kind of take more of a southerly jog that would put it down into northwest Iowa, potentially around that 4 to 5 a.m. And the latest HRRR does take basically this cluster down into extremely southwest Minnesota, northwest Iowa, and the Sioux Falls area and Sioux City by about 3 to 4 a.m. And then it does take the MCS kind of a little more east-southeast towards St. Cloud, potentially down with some storms extending down to the Twin Cities by about 5 a.m. So yeah, it does kind of take these clusters of storms two somewhat different directions. So that'll be interesting to see. And potentially even some strong storms still in the Missouri River Valley from Sioux Falls down towards Omaha between that 5 to even 8 or 9 in the morning kind of time frame. So we'll see. Some of this may work its way all the way down into parts of western Iowa by the commute time. So definitely keep an eye on that one. Well, as the severe threat has at least temporarily wound down a little bit, I think we're going to call it a stream. And if things get crazy, we could pop back on into the overnight or even in the early morning. But yeah, the models are kind of mixed on the severity of this. I think in real life, this seems to be less severe than the models kind of show. But it will continue working its way essentially along that I-94 corridor through the overnight. Potentially could get some isolated severe weather out of that MCS. And then we will see the models still do kind of hint this more disorganized mess of storms does kind of cluster together and eventually push towards the southeast. So we'll keep an eye on that one into the Missouri River Valley, especially in early morning. And we may be on for a morning stream if things are still really feisty here into parts of western Iowa by that commute hour. But at least for now, these storms seem to be on the downtrend, except for the one severe warning for $half size hail back here near Lebanon. Although it does seem to be downtrending based on reflectivity and the velocity wind profile, and not seeing that big hail core. And these storms are now outflow dominant, so they should have less of a tornado threat, very minimal tornado threat now with that outflow dominance. As well as the storms looking non-severe as they push into Minnesota. And haven't seen really any severe or tornadic activity out of this cell near Brookings. So some good signs there. Let's check that one from a closer angle. Yeah, still maybe some quarters and some gusty winds. But yeah, take it easy, guys. Have a way to get your severe weather warnings, like a NOAA weather radio. Make sure your phones are on alert mode, especially here if you're in South Dakota, extreme western Minnesota, and into the Missouri River Valley overnight. And yeah, have multiple ways to get warnings, and we'll see you on the next stream. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you're new here. We do severe weather live streaming, hurricane coverage, as well as post pretty regular forecast videos, as well as daily morning posts on the YouTube post section, as well as our social media pages. So definitely give us a like and subscribe. And you can also engage with us on our social medias as well, Facebook and Twitter at WXCastUSA. There's the handle for it for social medias. I believe that's the same handles we have here on YouTube as well. So pretty easy to remember. All right, everyone, have a great night, and thanks for joining us.